IEC would be a threat to democracy. That's according to advocacy group My Vote Counts. The Independent Electoral Commission is facing an almost 800 million rand cut over the next 3 years if Treasury has its way. Let's speak now to the My Vote Counts Executive Director, Minhaj Jeenah, who joins us all the way from Cape Town. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Almost 800 million rand. That is not a small amount. One can only expect that that would have quite a big impact on the very important work that the IEC needs to do.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's almost 800,000 rand over a period of 3 years. And
just to correct you, 800 million, right? You said 800,000.
800 million over the next 3 years. And also to note, this doesn't include inflation. So the real amount is much more than that. And you're correct, it will have quite serious effects on the ability of the IEC to operate. The IEC has said, for example, that in the 2024 elections, it won't be able to have a second weekend of registrations. We know from last year, the local government election, that second weekend is crucial to get people and convince people to register. We also know how low the voter turnout was last year, and expectation for 2024 is the voter turnout will decrease. And this is even more serious in this context. The IEC has also said that their ability to conduct voter education, which is one of their most crucial mandates, will be decreased significantly. They won't have a significant amount of field workers whose role it is to go into communities, go into schools, etc., to conduct voter education and outreach. Very importantly, the IEC has said that they won't have sufficient amount of funding to carry out any changes to the electoral bill. We know that currently the electoral amendment bill is sitting with Parliament, and we're going to see drastic changes probably before the 2024 general elections to the electoral system. And it's the role of the IEC to basically implement those changes. What implementation includes informing the public of what the changes are, and these will be drastic because independent candidates will be included probably in 2024. The IEC won't be able to, won't have sufficient amount of funds to implement these changes. They also say that they won't be able to expand their staff for crucial things. For example, like with the Political Party Funding Act, the IEC's role is to ensure that the act is enacted. They do plan on hiring a number of staff, and they probably won't be able to do that. The IEC has also said that they plan in 2024 to pilot electronic voting. They won't be able to do that anymore because that's also underfunded.
And now we've seen that throughout our very young democracy, comparatively speaking, if you've been on the ground as I have, and I'm sure as you have, in as much as the IEC's work and how they go about their business, both during elections and in the run-up to the elections, have been lauded both internationally and across the continent for their trustworthy data collection, for their use of technology, for the respected individuals that are involved in running the IEC, and the list goes on. But you and I both know that when it comes to election day, we very much see an election day which is a reflection of the inequality in South Africa. You have beautiful leafy suburbs where people queue for about 5 minutes in a warm little town hall or a little venue that's been put together. They do their vote and they can go off and have a coffee or go to the gym or go about their business. And not so a few kilometers down the road, you'll find a township where people are queuing in very, very long queues, sometimes in rain, without any cover, tents that are about to blow away, cardboard box booths that really aren't doing the job of protecting them. We're really sitting with a situation that more money really should be spent on our election process and not more being taken away. What's the view from your organization in that regard?
I think so. I think you're correct. Just to note, the IEC's mandate in the past 2 years has expanded significantly. the IEC now has a very important role of implementing and monitoring the Political Party Funding Act, which is an act that compels political parties to disclose how they're funded, amounts above 100,000 rand. It's an incredibly expensive exercise, so the mandate has also increased significantly. The 2024 election is also an incredibly expensive exercise, as you mentioned, which should receive an additional amount of funding. We also have a context where there's a very serious trust deficit from the South African public in institutions, in Parliament, political parties, but importantly in the IEC. There's very little trust in the IEC, and the IEC needs to build and maintain that trust because of how important it is for our democracy. We also have a context, we saw this with the Zondo Commission, where there are deliberate attempts to hollow out arms of the state that's important for our democracy. And the IEC needs money to ensure that they can guard against this and they're protected against this.
Now, I see that your organisation has supported word coming from the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs, to which the IEC presented its annual performance and planning budget last week. And they said in the statement that they would be appealing to that budget to be re-looked at, so that this potential budget cut is not final. Are you hopeful that that Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs will be successful in doing so? Or do you believe that it might be in the interest of some politicians to see the IEC, as you've just mentioned, being hollowed out?
It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one because Parliament has adopted the midterm budget, so it's not probable that it will change, but it's possible, and there is hope. We will engage with the Portfolio Committee. I think it is safe to assume that there might be attempts in the next few years to undermine the IEC. We've seen this recently in relation specifically to the Political Party Funding Act. It's one act that all political parties are against and would prefer to undermine. But I think more and more we will see attempts to undermine the IEC.
Okay, we're going to leave it there, and I'm sure this conversation will be ongoing. That was Minhaj Jeenah. He's the Executive Director at My Vote Count, joining us there from Cape Town. We thank him for his time this evening.